Here we are with Geoffrey Keezer.
Hey.
The amazing, the famous and smart.
Stop.
And we're working on recording the Parts You Keep, a Mike Pope album.
Yeah.
And first of all, what early experiences shaped you as a musician? I know that's kind of trite. I'm sure that everybody asks you, but I really do want to know.
No, it's fine. I'm an only child of two music educators, both my mom and dad.
Oh, man.
My dad was a drummer, and mostly in jazz, and my mom was a classical French hornist.
Oh, you had no choice.
So I had no choice, but it was okay. It was, fine. I mean, I really just thought that's what everyone did. People would come over to the house, and I just assumed they played something,
Oh, right.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up around a college music environment. My dad had percussion ensembles and a jazz ensemble that he taught, so I learned to write music at an early age. By the time I was 10, I was writing pieces for my dad's student ensembles, and he would program them. So I actually got to hear them played, and
Great
yeah,
dad.
and to get that feedback and really learn how to compose for real instruments, and learning that process long before notation software and samples and all that.
Why
kind of
didn't
stuff.
I think of that for my kids? That's a really good idea.
I was really lucky.
There was a social aspect, I guess, to music that just came so naturally to your family.
So it was just what we did.
It's
just
just
the way
what-
it was just the way my brain was
Just what
wired.
you did?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have read and heard from you about being in the Art Blakey band.
Yeah.
And I know that you turned down a certain someone to play with Art Blakey. And I wanted to know if you could just tell that story.
Well, I had offers from both Miles Davis and Art Blakey about the same time, but I joined Art Blakey's band in September of 1989, and then I met Miles shortly after, and Miles was kind of trying to get me to join his group, but I already had a gig, so
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it would be fair to just leave one for another, and plus Art Blakey was my dream gig. It was the band I wanted to be in for years, like all through high school and my 1 year of college at Berkeley. Like I was playing Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers music with my groups, and I was in the Art Blakey ensemble at Berkeley, so that was really where my focus was and where my head was at. And
And you left Berkeley, right?
yeah, I
To go with him?
yeah, more or less. I moved to New York, and then I got that gig shortly after. Kind of all worked.
How important was that band to your development as a musician?
Super important. I mean, I my only regret is that I wasn't really old enough to be in the band socially.
Oh.
It was a very grown up band with a lot of grown up issues and things happening that I
really?
wasn't really prepared for. But
They raised you.
yeah, kind of. But I mean, it was cool. It was incredible, and it was just 1 year. I was in that band for the last year of Art's life, 89 to 90. But I felt like it was like 5 years long. We traveled so much and played every night. But it was really, they call it a baptism by fire. It really was. You had to play hard, and it was intense and very aggressive music, and everything about it was just full on all the time.
Is that you?
It's part of me, not all the time though.
I mean, when we're talking about our authentic selves,
Yeah.
like you turned down a pretty sweet gig to do that because I think on some level you felt like this is authentically me. This is where I'm meant to be.
I mean, what Miles was doing at the time was not my favorite kind of music, and what the keyboard role. This is like 89, 90. So Miles, the album Tutu and Amandla, and so the keyboardist at that time was playing pretty much just Marcus Miller's parts off the record. So it was more of a pop gig than a jazz gig.
Yeah.
And I think the keyboard player got like one solo a night or something. And I got to play every tune and with Art. So I just, I would have loved to have been in Miles's band, but maybe like 10 years before,
Yeah. You just got a lot more experience there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'm going to fast forward to today and talk about this for a second. Recently, you played the piano chair on a tribute to Chick Corea, correct?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like everybody, you were a fan of Chick Corea. I don't know if not,
fan.
but it must have been surreal for you to play that chair and realize, the full circle that you've come. Like you are now the hero for all of these people. And does that?
I thought about that every second I was on stage. I couldn't believe that I was
really?
Chick in the electric band. You know what I mean? Like playing Chick's role. It was really a trip. It really was, because I grew up on that music.
Did you feel worthy?
I just did the best I could.
Yeah, you are.
I felt like what
everybody from the outside knows you are. I just wonder if you feel it.
Yeah. With humility, yeah. Like I felt like I did the work, and I feel connected to the music. So I feel like any number of piano players could have done a good job. I was really happy that I got called, and I just did the best I could.
Yeah. Well, now you've just released an album.
The album is called Playdate. It's on my own label, Marquise, that I have with my wife, Jillian Margot. And it was recorded sort of at the end of lockdown-ish. And it's all about the personal relationships, friendships that I have, and musical rapport that I have with the musicians on the record. It's Ron Blake on saxophone, Richie Goods on bass, Shedrick Mitchell on B3 organ, Kendrick Scott on drums, and a host of special guests and an 18-piece string orchestra and all kinds of stuff. And it was just designed as a good time, as parents during COVID especially, we had to schedule time for our children to play with other children.
Oh, yeah.
And you still do, book a play date. And that was the idea. It was just like, hey, let's just all get together like kids playing at a birthday party or in the sandbox or something, and just have some fun.
When you're working on a project with esteemed musicians, that is not your project, do you feel as strongly about it as the project that you work on that belongs to you, that is your brainchild?
It's interesting, because I was talking to Mike about this, and we both said that
really?
we feel like we always play better when it's not our record, when it's not our name on the record. When
What's
it's
that
not
about?
Because I think when you come in as a side person, you're not quite as attached to the outcome of every single note you play or every solo, because you're not really sure what's going to be used on the final album. And you're also only thinking about what you have to play.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about, I have to, in Mike's case, produce, compose, engineer, and do so many roles, from the bass chair. And so there's you're trying to keep a lot more plates spinning. So it's a little harder to just focus only on yourself and your playing.
Your brain is less full, huh?
So there's just you just go for it, and it's a little bit less attached to the end result.
That's not. Now I have to jump back to the Chick Corea thing, because you said the whole time I was on stage with Chick Corea, I was thinking about that. That it was just a little bit surreal to be here, playing Chick Corea's chair, and that speaks to this ability that I think really refined musicians have to kind of go outside of your head and think other thoughts while your fingers and your body are doing this whole other thing. It's almost this, like transcendent place that you go to where you can think and play at the same time.
It's the only area in life that I can multitask is in music. I can't wash the dishes and carry on a conversation,
Right.
I have to just do one thing at a time. But music, I can operate in parallel.
So your musical language is stronger than your spoken language.
Obviously, you can tell from my lack of vocabulary.
No, you have a wonderful vocabulary. Please do not. You're one of the smartest people I know. You have to stop that.
No, but it's true. It's true. I think the music part is definitely more highly developed than probably other parts of my life. Yeah.
Yeah. What aspects of you as a human and a musician have been with you all along? And how do you connect and reconnect with what is authentically you?
Jeez.
Where do you go to find Geoffrey Keezer?
I think so much of who I am or who I identify as being me is wrapped up in the music. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm not really sure if music were completely taken away or if I lost the ability to play music or compose or even think about music. I'm not sure that I'd be that interesting of a person, really.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't really want to know. I'm not really sure. I don't really want to be without music in life.
You don't have to think about it if you don't want to.
I hope that doesn't happen, because that doesn't seem like a very good way to live for me.
No, that's okay. Have there been times in your life when you lost sight of your authentic self?
Oh, yeah.
And then how
sure.
did you re-find you?
Being married to my wife, Jillian.
Oh, that's
so sweet. Real. She's really helped me get back on track. I really kind of went off the rails a bit, and she's like, look, she even when we met, I was really all over the place, and she was able to see through all the haze and everything and see who I really was, and she's brought me back.
Oh, wow.
And stronger and better,
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are lovely words for a wife to hear. She's going to love this
I've told her. She knows. Yeah.
That's really, really nice.
I was real, rescue dog material.
Oh. You're teaching at Juilliard now.
Yeah, and William Patterson, too.
And William Patterson.
Yeah.
What do you want to relay to the future musicians that you teach and to the future musicians who might see this interview?
Oh, man. I really try to help my students understand that they do need to learn the history of this music, but at the same time, I want them to try to find, we were talking about, who your authentic self is, at least as a musician. I want them to get in touch with that as quickly as possible, so I don't want any of my students to feel like they have to be in a box or be just a shallow version of Oscar Peterson or Wynton Kelly or
great.
Whoever. I want them to find out who they are.
To innovate.
Yeah, well, or just be authentic to who they are, whatever form that takes. But you need to know where it comes from and understand
good advice.
that.
Good
understand
advice.
The history of it.
Yeah. So to move into the future.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, you know what? Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you talked with me today.
Yay.
I'm so excited about your new album, and just thank you for being here and doing this recording.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.